and welcome to my cake kitchen. My name is Gladys, and over here I make simple, informative tutorials to help you navigate cake decorating easily. I also undertake baking tutorials live where we undertake a particular baking or decorating tasks. We start and we finish with the hope that you are empowered with useful information that can assist you in your baking or decorating process at home. So if it's the first time we're meeting, hello, pleasure to have you. And today we are making a cake that you might be familiar with. In fact, yesterday I was here and we created a live talking about all things edible printing. As a result, we created an edible print, which I will show you here. Yeah, this image here, we are going to use it to simply create a cake. The objectives of this tutorial is to undertake this live with just the basic form of decorative detail, just so that if you're a beginner, if you're a beginner, there's a lot to get through when it comes to decorating a cake. And sometimes it can leave you questioning your own skills. So yesterday, the goal about using the edible printer is to show you the different aspects about how a printer can bring some useful detail without much skill to the decorating process. But there was much more talked about on that subject, and I will encourage you to check that out. But we printed that's the edible print here, which is the anger, the emotion of anger from the film In and Out. I haven't seen the movie yet, so I have no idea what it is about. So if you know anything about the In and Out film, leave that in the comment section. But it was one of the characters that I printed, and we are going to be using that to bring some detail to our cake in very simplistic forms, just so that if you're a beginner, that is something that you could equally find achievable. Some of the tools and elements we're going to be using, I will talk you through that. And some of the aspects, including the subject itself, cake, is very familiar. In fact, we have this cake. We have this cake right here. That is not a brand new cake. In fact, it's a cake I created on here, put together. It's up on the channel on the live format, so you want to check that out. I created that, but I've had to take some of, look what I've done. I've literally had to take apart some of the buttercream just so that we can reapply that. This is scrap cake for me, just in case you want to know. So this is not a cake that is going out to anybody. It's for decorative purposes. And if you want to know how I made the buttercream detail, as in the white buttercream and the pink buttercream, including some failing techniques at piping, I have put all that video up here for you to learn from. So check that out when you finish watching this video. But today we're just going to jump right in. Some of the tools we will need essentially is a piping bag. You'll see what that is for. There are a couple of spatulas for stirring into the buttercream. There is an offset spatula, or a palette knife as some would call it. And there is behind me a bowl that will have warm water into which I will dip my stainless steel scraping tool. And what the stainless steel scraping tool does is, if it's warm, it gives a cleaner polish to the cake. But for this cake we are making, there are going to be some really specific detail we are going to have to adhere to, and I will talk you through all of that as the process develops. So if you're in the chat or you've left me a message, hey Dolly, hey darling, did you say you were going to be making the buttercream or something? Or how did that fare for you? Let's hear what you have to say. And how are you today? Good to have you back, my lovely. Such a pleasure to always be here. And if you're just joining us, hello. It would be nice to know where you are joining us from. And if it's the first time you are joining me here, thank you for choosing to spend your time with me this morning. Well, it's 5 to 12 midday. And I know there are some of you, much of my viewing audience is in America. So much of you are just starting your morning. So I hope you are already having a good morning wherever you are. So what I've just done is I've gone ahead and trimmed the top. But for this cake, I just want to get things easy. So if you're a beginner, one good way to get the best out of your cake is to ensure that your piping, your covering, as in the frosting of the cake, is done using a piping bag. It allows a more even spread of the buttercream. It guarantees a more even spread, and this is just a regular piping bag that I have gone ahead and put buttercream in. You don't need this big a bag, but that is what I have available. And the idea of spreading the buttercream around using a piping bag allows for just an even spread, which makes your life a lot easier, if you like. So I'm just going to pipe this all the way around. And in the chat, I have just seen Dolly. Dolly is a friend to the channel and a regular here who supports us. What a shame. Wow. Dolly's car has been stolen. Oh my God. I am so sorry, Dolly. I am really, really so sorry. I wasn't expecting that from you at all. That must be so devastating. I suppose you've reported to the police then. Oh, gosh. Can you imagine having your car stolen? Like, how does that even work? Who goes and steals anybody's car? Well, I guess. I am so sorry, Dolly. I hope the police will help you find it. Or, like, yeah, there is some result for you over there. But that wasn't news I am expecting at all. For the rest of you in the chat, Florida man. Florida man, good morning, my dear. How are you? Right, I am just applying some more buttercream to the base of the cake. As you can see, I think there are air bubbles in the cake, but I'm just using the spatula, the offset spatula, to kind of spread this around evenly. This is actually a very simplistic cake to make, and I think the process is made more simple because much of the base detail of the cake I had already completed prior. So if you want to know about how to, if you want to know, bear with me, I'm just trying to warm the, if you want to know about how to, the basics of a cake, so how to crumb coat, how to do layer the cake, fill, there are so many videos already on this channel where I talk about all of that, and I have undertaken the process here myself just so that you are better informed also. So do check that out. For once, the cake is not going to be transferred from work surface to board, final board display. I am working on the, is it the masonette board here? So we are doing that. And it's important. I think we are not aiming for a polished, clean cake over here. The goal is to have the buttercream spread nicely on the cake so that there is a surface for which we can place the edible print. I have actually chosen to also go for a rather simplistic design of this cake right here, just so that it is something that you could find achievable. So just in case you're wondering why I have chosen a cake like that, it's simply because I just want it to be achievable so that it's completely beginner friendly also. So that is my reasoning behind my choice of a cake. Now I can see here the bottom isn't as I would like it, so I'm going to fill the bottom up. Now the frosting of a cake process is all about layering, adding and taking out, and then filling in the surface area where there are spots, right? So Over here, I have spots here. And the texture of your buttercream does tend to make a huge difference to your outcomes. I have said time and again on this channel, I am not a buttercream girl for cake. I am a ganache girl. I love ganache, but I've also challenged myself to learn to use buttercream in a way that is so beginner friendly also. So the buttercream process here is also something quite challenging for me. So just know that the challenges you may be having with your buttercream is completely okay. And we all have those too. I mean, yeah. One key difference between the use of buttercream and ganache is that I have said ganache. One second. Ganache sets hard very quickly. So if you're using ganache, you are going to have to work quickly, which means I am a little more vigorous, if you like. Whereas with buttercream, you're going to have to be very delicate and super gentle for your results. See? Look. So if I have spots in there, I won't worry too much because you will see why. But I also want to help you get the best out of your cake here. So yeah, we are going back in there. Yeah, got it. Right? So our cake is sort of clean at this point. I am going to leave it to set because doing anything else would just keep taking off some of the bits. I'm going to wipe the board here quickly, and we're going to leave the cake to set completely, and then we'll come back, we'll fill it in for a polished look, and we'll move on to applying the edible print. You'll see how easy applying the edible print will help lift the cake. So the objective here is to say, if you're a beginner and you don't feel like you have all your tools or skills up to scratch, there's no problem. What you have to do is focus on how creatively you can bring other resources to support your needs here, right? So the goal of the edible print, obviously, is to show you how you can add simplistic detail to your cake without much skill. Of course, I printed the edible print over here yesterday as part of the tutorial, but you can always buy an edible print or order one if you like. So, hello. Oh, Tyler, how are you, my lovely? How is school? Thank you for last week. I'm talking to Tyler, my moderator. Are you going to school today? Tyler, hello there. Oh, God, I've got the knife. Yeah. Whilst, thank you. Tyler, how are you today? Thank you for being here with us. It's such a pleasure to have you today. Where is Tyler? Right, Right, Tyler, who am I missing something? Who am I? You know, when I get Tyler, I'm trying to add you as I'm trying to add sort the moderator thing out, and I can't seem to see it. So Tyler, I'll sort that out for you. Yeah, please bear with me. If not now, I'll sort it after. Yeah. So click on you, right? When I click on you, Tyler, I see report or block. That's not an option you want, do you? Yeah, but I'll get back to it later. Yeah? Okay. Let's put this cake to chill, and then we'll come back and do some more decorating on that. Now, the theme of the cake is the In and Out. And like I said, I haven't watched the In and Out movie. Who has seen it? And I have seen on social media. Don't worry, Tyler. I'll sort it out. I promise. I'll sort it out. So anyway, who has seen the In and Out movie? I haven't seen it myself, but I've seen on social media that the character has been created in 3D forms, which I can do. But the aim is to kind of make it achievable for even complete beginners. So yes, if you have seen, who has seen the In and Out movie? If you have seen it, please let us know. And if you're just joining us, Florida man, who are you talking to? Me. Look, let's try and keep it all civil, okay? The unwanted attention is not welcome, okay? And that's how politely I am going to say that, please, okay? So please don't do that. Can we stop? Yeah? We're not getting married. We're not having a wedding. Please stop, yeah? Now, let's move on to something exciting, right? So our cake is in the fridge now. For some aspects of that, the decorative process sometimes has a lot of moving parts, so it can be awfully difficult to manage. Bear with me. Because I'm also trying to do this whilst also keeping my work surface clean. Right. So now that the cake has gone into set, if you're not a baker and you're wondering, or a cake decorator and you're wondering why the cake should be left to set, the idea of leaving the cake to set is so that the buttercream will chill and settle on the cake so that the cake has structure and form, you know, so it doesn't collapse. Because if you don't do that, the scraping process just keeps on taking much of the buttercream out, which does not leave the cake with a very polished look. So that is exactly why the cake is in there. I'm going to look in the chat and see what type of butter brand do I recommend. Right. So for buttercream, I guess the question pertains to buttercream simply because buttercream does add as an accompaniment to cake, and depending on what butter you choose, you can almost enhance the flavor or mouthfeel of your buttercream. I have spoken in detail about the type of butter we need and we require. And if you have to compromise on anything, it's not the butter. More so for buttercream, because the difference in butter is huge. So Dolly is asking, what kind of butter do I recommend? Dolly, here is a simple answer for you. Oh, my head is gone. I have a preferred brand. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the best brand on the market, if that makes sense. Only because you know what? I know the brand. My brain is fuzzy. It happens sometimes a lot over here when I'm trying to teach something. So I will leave you a photo of that. And that is because Costco, I buy my butter in bulk generally from Costco. Some of my baking supplies, I get them from Costco. So Costco, which one is that? Ugh, let me just find it for you. I'll tell you the name because it confuses me. It's not Clover. Clover is not even butter. I'll tell you my preferred butter. It's only because I've run out. So oh, Anchor. Anchor. Anchor is my preferred brand, followed by President. And that's because it's brand. It doesn't necessarily mean there's a specific quality of ingredient. But I will say I choose because over here I talk about the importance of making specific cakes and customizing it to specific individual preference. I swing between Anchor, President, and also high street own brands. It it depends exactly on what I'm trying to achieve. At other times, I've had to buy some butter, organic butter from Waitrose and different sorts of stuff. It all depends because, for instance, if I'm making Swiss meringue buttercream, Swiss meringue buttercream already by process has like a great feel and taste to it. So if I use to say Anchor for that, it will increase mouthfeel, but it doesn't necessarily mean it has a specific brand of ingredients that's going to enhance the quality in any way, shape, or form. I just prefer Anchor. But on I am aware that in the supermarket, Anchor, to get the unsalted version is really difficult. It's almost like generically you can get the salted version, which is just Anchor. But the unsalted I normally buy in bulk from Costco. I haven't been in recent times, and in recent times, much of for tutorials and stuff, I have gone for own brand. So you can pick your Sainsbury's, your Tesco, or even Aldi own brand. But say if I was making, say, American buttercream for a customer, I'll probably consider a different kind of brand of butter instead of the own brand. Because sometimes the own brand, to be honest, I'm very specific about detail and mouthfeel, and the own brand does leave a little feeling of grease. It has a greasy aftertaste. I don't know. That's just me, and that's because I'm very, very particular. So Dolly, that's a long-winded way of saying I have preferences that I stick to due to habits and continuous use, but there's no one specific one that I can recommend that, oh, here you go, this is the batter of choice, that's the best on the market. It really doesn't make any difference whatsoever, but the type of buttercream you choose and what you are aiming for will ultimately influence the set decisions you make. So, right. So, Dolly, talking about recipes here, Dolly went on to use my Swiss meringue buttercream recipe, which I have created on this channel, broken that down specifically in different ways and explained how it is made. It's not known to be a very beginner friendly type of buttercream, but I have made it quite simplistic for you to be able to achieve great results. And Dolly used that for a bride's wedding cake, and she's over the moon. And if you don't know what Swiss meringue buttercream is, it's a sort of buttercream that is meringue based. So it's sugar and egg whites that are sort of steamed over medium heat, and then whipped up, butter added, and flavoring and that. It has a great mouth feel and does guarantee some great results for good tasting cake, just in case you want to know about it. So she tried it and she has gotten some great results. So Dolly, you're welcome. I am so pleased you got some good feedback from that dough, right? So if you have further questions, do let me know. But Tyler, are you in school today? I'm talking to my moderators in the chat. Right, our cake has gone in for a little bit. It is setting. What I want to do is just fill this up, clear the top, and then we go back to the decoration of this cake itself. Yeah, so the cake is back. To know that your cake is set, when you touch it, you can see you can't, because it's buttercream, and this sort of buttercream that I used, as in the recipe that I used, is a 1-to-1, so it's a little more delicate, if you like. If I use the 2-to-1, as in 2 parts of sugar to 1 part of butter, I guess the result would have been slightly different. But I went for a 1-to-1, so it's a little more like soft, if you like. So for that reason, bear that in mind just in case you're using that. And I have this is a quick way to get sharp edges on your cake. You know, you trim the top with a knife, and yep. So at the end of the chat, Tyler, if you have to go, just let us know. But at the end of our chat, when I settle on my wet desk, I'll sort the moderator part, you and Delaney. I don't believe Delaney has her moderator status activated. I'll sort that out for you. So I'm just talking to my moderator there, Tyler, who helps us, keeps the chat going. And if you're still here and you are supporting us, do consider liking the video, because these are some sort of educational resources from any beginner baker or decorator who cannot afford a class just yet and yet wants to learn about the art of cake decorating. These are like detailed, in-depth tutorials that I make just for the purposes of beginners learning the most out of it. So yes. All right, Tyler has to leave in about half an hour. How is school anyway? I hope you're having a great week so far. Right, so yeah, there you go. Right, so I have just cleaned the base over there, and what I am going to do is because the in and out cake character has multi layers of colors in there. What I am going to do, my head, I kind of keep moving my head. What I'm going to do is just add a layer of black there, just slightly, just to blend in, so that we don't have just the one dimension of color. I just want to add a bit of depth of color to this cake, because the in and out character is not just one dimension. There's yellow, there's the fire on his head and bits over there. So I just want to bring that characterization to the color of this cake. So this is just black buttercream that I am spreading there slightly, and we are going to go back and with the warm scraper. If you see why I'm pouring the water, it's because that's now cold and it's no use. So for the scraping, it's just a little, I'm not trying to scrape in excess. I'm just trying to spread the black around the cake easily without taking any more buttercream off at all. Yes, and there you go. Right, at this point, if I had any extra buttercream, I would consider a yellow highlight to fill this in, but I didn't make the yellow, and I wasn't even thinking about the yellow buttercream. So you'll see how this will come together. So I'll leave that for now, and then leave this to set completely. Okay, actually, right, decorating tutorials are a bit tricky if you want to keep things clean. So look at me with my hands, right? Right, so well done, Tyler. Well done. You keep it up like that and you will just do fine. Tyler is talking to me. School is been good. You heard me asking how school is, and school council is going good too. Nice. How old are you, Tyler, if you don't mind me asking, darling? Right. Just going ahead to. All right. So we have added some black detail there. I'm going to leave this back to I'm going to leave that to set whilst we move on to sorting the character. Now that the cake has gone in, what we are going to do next is get some fondant, right? For those of you who do not like fondant, don't you worry. This is not a fondant cake generally. Fondant helps. Fondant, there's only a little bit I need, and it's only going to be used as a barrier. You'll see what a barrier means in a moment. But here we are. I'm just going to knead it a little bit, or mix it in a little bit. See? And I'm going to powder my work top so that the fondant doesn't stick. And that's cornstarch, by the way, just in case. God, the use of a small kitchen can be very tricky. Now I'm going to roll the fondant. I have to get it as thin as possible, because like I said, this is not a fondant cake, but I need the fondant for specific use, which I will show you in a moment. So if you don't like fondant, please don't come at me. This is not a fondant cake, okay? You will see what the fondant is for in a moment. So I'm just going to roll this over slightly. I just need it super thin. You could use white chocolate for this if you want, or candy melts. I just prefer fondant because it does the job better for me, and it helps me reach the goals, the decorative goals I need. So there we have it. So there you go. So that's a thin layer of fondant, if you like, and I am going to paste that. Yeah, and then what we are going to do, is I printed this as an A4 image on an A4 sheet. It's on a backing sheet here, and I've just cut it out. The reason why I need fondant here, is if I placed this character on the cake, the moisture in the buttercream is going to seep through and make this coloring on the image here bleed. So the fondant serves as a barrier between the character and the buttercream surface, right? So that's the reason I need fondant. But like I said, you can use chocolate or candy melt for this part of the process. Now, to make it stick, because this is such a small detail, you will see how I use it. You can use Trex. My American audience would say Crisco. You can use Crisco. I am using piping gel, which will guarantee a more solid, where is the piping gel? Look, my, yeah, the piping gel is here. I was looking out because I thought my postman was coming. So I'm just going to flip this over. It's always better to do the spreading of the piping gel or on a different top. So that's piping gel. I'm just spreading that with a small brush easily. You want to focus on the corners and the edges, because that is where the cake is going to stick the most. Right, so I'm just applying the piping gel, but you could also use edible glue if you like. Yeah, but piping gel, because it's cooked down, it sticks very well. Edible glue can settle in a way that can make it a little bit difficult to use. And if you used water, you could use water, but if you use water, you're just going to make the image bleed. So water is not advisable for this. Trex, edible glue, piping gel, all of these are mediums that you can allow this to stick properly on your fondant. And I am applying the glue on the back on top of a paper so that I don't have residual glue on the fondant, because anything else on the fondant that is not supposed to be there would only make the fondant a little bit sticky. So there you have it, and I'm just going to move that, and I have enough surface area to, yeah, Trex or Crisco shortening. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I am just blending the side in so that it sits flush into the back. You'll see why that is important in a moment. It is so that the image will form part of the cake without any distinction between the two. Yeah, that's the reason. And then that is done now. Now what I'm going to do is cut the image out, as in cut the fondant by tracing wherever this has gone, right? So you can do this with an X-Acto knife too. Yeah. So I'm cutting this out completely. Right. And I am tracing it in a way that it is cut so flush you don't see the excess fondant. I made a couple of cakes that I have already posted on my community post. So if you want to see some cakes that are similar that I used this technique to achieve, you want to check that. Yeah. Right, there you go. Right, there we have it. There you go. Now, that is the image we have derived, just in case. And as you can see, because we have the fondant on the back, I am able to pick that up. We need to put that on the side and then clear our work surface, and then we will move on to the next phase of our decoration of this cake. Just wiping these. Right. And right. So there we have it. Now, our cake is back, and perhaps just so that you can see what I'm doing, I'm not going to be able to do what I'm doing by standing here. So if I move out of the shot, you will see my hands, but it is just so that I can show you what I am trying to do. Also, I'm just going to move this away from a stand a little bit because I need the surface to be steady, and the cake turntable turns around. So yeah, I need this to be steady. And then I'm going to have to identify a surface which would be fit for me here. In this case, I am just choosing one here. And can you see what I'm doing? Right. And right. You can almost peel it if you haven't. What I'm trying to do is let this sit flush on the cake. Yep. And we've got it. Right. As you can see, the colors I have chosen for the cake itself has lent to the design detail of the cake. So we've got that here. And all I'm doing is, can you see? If I had yellow highlights on the back of this cake, then obviously we have the cake looking like the character. What you can also do is you can cut the character pieces. I guess I'll have to come back and do that. But like I said, my goal today was to ensure that the detail on this cake is so simplistic that in your own time at home, you can achieve some great results. So here's what we have. Now that's not the end of it. If I left this here, you can leave this as a design and then add your decorative element. But I'm going to upgrade this slightly for you. Because like I said, as you can see, if you can see it here, you can add decorative details that are in theme for you. But what I'm doing is I'm going to upgrade this a little bit, and elevate the design. So first of all, the goal is that I'm going to blend this image. I'm blending this image into the cake, and then it's going to be part of the cake and you can't tell. So what we're going to start doing is, there is a gap here that obviously distinguishes the cake from the image. So I'm going to fill that up. We want to be very careful at this stage, because if you don't do this right, you're going to smudge the buttercream all over the image, and then you're going to have more problems there. So what I'm doing is I am just covering that side, right? And we are filling it out so that it becomes a part of the cake, if you can see. But you'll see what I mean in a minute. Next, I'm filling that spots out with the same black, so that there's no clear distinction between the two. And now with this technique, you want to be extremely careful that there is no water on your scraper, because you're going to scrape on the edible image. If you have water or moisture on the scraper, it's going to bleed onto the image. So I'm just scraping the image slightly, and there you have it. Can you see? The image has blended in on that side. So I'm going to start doing that on the other side. One thing I realized though, that I could have chosen a different color, if you like, for the cake. So the color, okay, Tyler, goodbye. We'll see you sometime. Take care, my dear, and thank you for your time today. That is Tyler, my moderator. Yeah. Right. I could have chosen a different color, as in a brown color or something, but I haven't done that. So we're going to go back in here, fill that out. And we are filling the top too, right? I only have a small surface area to work with. So if you see me turning my back, I have things that I need from behind me. There you go. Right, can you see? Okay, let's try it again. There you go. So we've blended the image into the cake on this side. We're going to have to do the other side too. Right. We're going to do exactly the same thing on the other side, except because I'm right-handed, it's hard to do it on the opposite side. So I'm just going to try my best. And I hope you can see what I'm doing. All I'm doing is filling it in so that the line is closed. And we have enough buttercream. Now, I should say, if this was wafer paper, the result would have been completely different, slightly, because wafer paper doesn't react well when it comes in contact with moisture. But since we are on the subject of edible prints, I might be back sometime to recreate an image like this using wafer paper, and we'll see what results. We did speak about the difference between icing sheets, wafer paper, and all sorts in yesterday's live session when we were discussing all things edible prints. So check that video out. Right, with that, oh, so you know what I've done? I'm working on the cake without a turntable. So yeah, this goes all the way here. There you go. First scrape. You want to be very careful at this stage. Right, so we are going to take this again. Okay. It's very important that your scraper is clean. Right. It's very important. As you can see, if I'm very quiet, it's because I'm trying to focus on the tasks for my best results. Okay, so we fill that into. And I am just going to move this around so I can fill that side. And wiping the scraper so I don't smudge buttercream everywhere. Right, you go back in there and you scrape out. Right, with that, I'm going to clear my work table slightly so we can move the turntable back in. I need it. I need a turntable. Right. So, in the meantime, this is what our edible print on the cake looks like. It has blended into the cake. And you can hardly see the difference. So the goal is to show you how you can make it as part of your cake so that it looks like an artist's painting instead of just a plastered edible image, which is what I have managed to achieve here. But we need to wipe this all over, and I'll do that, and then we can obviously see the end result of our cake. Okay. Okay. Wipe the board cleanly. It's a tough one with this type of design, but if you're patient, you'll get the results you need and you'll be happy with yourself. I think what I'm looking for is a small palette knife. Okay, right. So there we are. Okay, I have wiped all of that now, and we have this. So let's get this on the side here. Let's see how far that will. Right. Right. Dolly, did you not see me finish do this, right? Were you not watching? It's buttercream on the side that has yielded the result. Dolly is in the chat. She's asking if I had to add buttercream. It's buttercream that has filled the sides, right? So if you weren't watching, maybe catch up when we're done, yeah? But it's buttercream. Right, so there we have it. I'm gonna put some dark buttercream on the bottom. Just a little bit. Because what I don't want to do is, right, because the Anger has black pants. Gonna fill his the bottom with black buttercream so that we don't interfere with his bottoms. What's his name? Anger, right? Anger will be really angry with us. So I'm filling the bottom here. And we're going back. To what we know. And a good tip is to use a clean see how a clean scraper is able to go over the image without leaving as much mess there. But I'll wipe it, don't worry. I'll wipe it. So, okay. And here we are. Okay. Right, so I'm gonna focus on the image so I can get the excess out. Okay, there you go. Right, now because the image, oh God, right. I'm trying to teach and still have the goal of keeping my surface tidy. That's a hard one, right? There's a line here. I want to get rid of that line. So here is where we have it. There you go. I've got rid of that. And what I can do then is just wipe this back in. And there we have it. So much of what I need to achieve is done. As you can see, the image has blended in. So what I need to do now is get myself just wiping the excess buttercream. But this is the part where I will apply color highlights and painting to kind of bring the image out a little bit. But if you're a beginner and you're looking for a character cake, a simplistic character cake that blends in, this is something you can aim to achieve. So what I am going to do is I'm going to fill the sides so that we can get a sharp edge here. And then we can trim the top, clean the cake up, and that is about it. There you go. Right. Oh, okay. Oh dear. Sorry, darling. Yes. So perhaps if when you can, I'm talking to Dolly. Dolly's in the chat. She turned away a little bit and she's missed some aspects of the process. Dolly, that's fine. You can catch up later then. Yes, I did apply buttercream to the sides to fill the cake in. Right. So we have one image sorted over here. Right. And working with black color is a little bit tricky, isn't it? Yeah, there you go. Right. So I have just, so and this is the part where if I was creating a long form video, I will have to edit much of this repetition out. And then when you undertake this tutorial and it doesn't work out for you, like, but I tried and it didn't work. It's because a lot of it is boringly repetitive. Okay. But that said, much of it is done now. Much of it is done. Here is the image in there. So what I'm going to do is, right, so if you were wondering, the fondant is right behind the image, which then is the barrier. And the reason why I've done that is that if you attach the fondant directly, if you attach the image directly to the cake, the moisture from the buttercream will seep into the image. The image is likely to bleed and it will warp. So putting the fondant steadies the image and gives you a more polished look to your cake, if that helps. Now, what I'm going to do is I am just going to wipe the image surface a little bit. But this is the part where, as an artist, if I wasn't doing it just for a beginner, I'll have to go in with a brush and I'll polish the cake and highlight bits just to bring the image to life. But I guess I could do that also. So what I'm doing is that I am polishing the part of the image that has been slightly dented by buttercream and just making sure that it is cleaner. There you go. Yeah, there you go. So one last detail, I'm going to just scrape the other side of the cake. Okay, now it is repetitively boring. You're welcome, Dolly. Dolly loves the design of the cake. These are some cake designs I have already created on the channel anyway. Oh no, I haven't. I have posted them on the community post for you to see, but I haven't. Yeah, because they are so popular on the community post, I thought I will come and show you how to do it a little bit. Right. So but there you have it. I think the gist of it is kind of seen now. So I'm just going to wipe my board. At this point, you could add, obviously, you could add decorative details to it. But what I am going to do is I'm going to upgrade it a little bit by polishing the image a little bit, just highlighting and polishing it to bring it to light a bit. But that is a beginner friendly cake that one can achieve with simplistic skills. You don't need any more skill to achieve this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this to set in the fridge. I'll wipe my top and then we'll come back and then we'll highlight the sides because it's also a buttercream. I guess this was my fault, right? I could have chosen a color theme that complements this. So if we had, say, a yellow to brown toned cake, the image will blend in so nicely. But because the image is slightly different from the cake, it stands out so greatly. But then again, it's anger seems like he's on fire. So he's burning the place down. So I'm not exactly mad about that. But I just hope that you can see the skill here and what you need to achieve such results as a cake like this. It's pretty. If you added decorative detail to this, like I would add some black and gold balls if I was designing this, and then you add your small happy birthday detail to it, you get a beautifully presented cake and it's not such hard work, if you like. So yeah, so I'm gonna put that in the fridge and then we can clear up and wait and see what's happening next. But I actually like my cake, even if I say so myself. So our cake is back. It has chilled a little bit. I have left the top of the cake a little bit rustic. Okay. I have left the top of the cake rustic. So I'm just aiming to get the bottom here so flat and so fine. Yep. There you go. That's all I need to do now. Right. So that is done. I haven't prepped my brushes and I just want this to be a rather simplistic thing to achieve. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a small brush, and this is brown. I don't know how this will work because sometimes the coloring has a tendency to highlight the part where I would rather not. And we have buttercream. Buttercream is very sensitive. It can leave dents. So let's see what I can achieve with this technique. Okay, let's see. Oh, it's picking. Yeah, it is picking the buttercream up. Yep. It won't work because what I was hoping to do was highlight the surface of the cake. I guess since I am making it a beginner friendly cake, introduction of a what do you call it? An airbrush takes away the beginner friendly, because an airbrush is not exactly beginner friendly, is it? So I won't do the airbrush, and I won't highlight it either, because doing that is just going to pick, because as you can see, when I started to do it, it began to take away from the buttercream. But the goal here was to show you how you can use an edible image for a cake. If I were to choose this over again, I would choose a color that fits with the theme closely. So there is the black, but the red is too stand out, and it kind of doesn't it the image tends to stand out on the cake. So a good way to get the best out of a design like this is to ensure that the cake's color theme blends well with the image so that it's a seamless look. Like I said, I have some images that I have posted on the community post where I have done that very well. There was a Sonic cake, and there was a basketball themed cake, amongst other ones, and one of a bridal themed cake, most of which I have applied on the channel. So I have posted on the channel. So if you're here and you want to learn how to make simple decorative cakes that are presented so well, maybe stick around